Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and the NFL. Got a brand new video for you guys, a stud 5 and a value 5 for today's slate. But before I get started with the video, I appreciate you guys drop a like always. It greatly helps my channel. And if you're new to the channel and have never been here before and have not become a member of the DFS Zone community, the only thing you have to do is subscribe down below, and right next door on the right hand side, that little bell icon, make sure you turn that on so this way you don't miss out on any of my future lineup advice videos for the NBA or the NFL. With that being said, happy Halloween to everyone. Today is October the 31st. We have a 7-game slate in the association, and we're going to start off with the stud 5 and value 5. Obviously, there's some injuries that may open up some value. We always remember during the day, by the time the day is over, on the comment section down below of this video, I'm going to always put up what I think are some of the value plays or actual good plays that have come up during the course of the day due to injuries or maybe just news that has just come about in the NBA. Remember, in the NBA, a lot of things can change from now, which is about almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in New York time, to the time that the games start around 7 p.m. Eastern in New York here. You're going to find yourself that there's going to be probably some changes. So just tune in, look at the video now, and then make sure you come back just before lock, about a half hour before lock. I'm going to have some final decisions on some possible value plays, on what players I really have down in my player pool that I really do have a strong exposure to. And basically, that's just a good way for me to communicate with you guys and be able to let you guys know if there has been any changes from the stud 5 or the value 5 or anybody that I mentioned here during the early part of the day in the video. All right, so let's just get that over with. I wanted to get that over with and make sure that I made that clear. Point guard today, Curry obviously in a good spot against New Orleans. I mean, Alfred Payton is out and all that. So definitely there's going to be a little exposure to Steph Curry. I'm not high on him. I don't expect him to be one of my core plays, but he'll definitely be in a lineup or two. I'm going to discuss Jamal Murray. I really do like Jamal Murray here at 7,400. Jamal Murray averaging 16.7 points per game, as you can see there, 4.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and pretty much a 31 spot as far as fantasy points, 7,400. You need 37 from him. He is definitely capable of doing that for you. And he's 7K on DK, which is 35 pretty much to pay off value there. He's had, as you can see, 38. He's 38 plus as far as the course of the last 2 games, 38 and 47 in his last 2 games as far as fantasy points, over 34 minutes per game over the last 2 games. He's also put up 22 and 23 respectively from the floor in those 2 games. So he's really starting to get cooking here. He had 5 rebounds in 10 the prior games, so 15 rebounds in 2 games. And of course, he brings that element that when he wants to defend, he can be pretty dangerous. He can get some steals. He had 5 steals in the last game. That's a lot of fantasy points for us. Granted, he might not get those same 5 steals again, but nonetheless, he does have that upside that he can get us those fantasy points as far as how well he defends. He's facing the 19th. Let's go over here to the cruncher real quickly. He's facing Chicago, they're 19th as far as defending point guards thus far this year. And then we look a little bit closely on him. The minutes are there. The usage is 25% pretty much or better the last 3 games straight. I mean, the shots are there, 19 from the floor, 5 from 3, 17 in the prior game from the floor, 5 from 3. He's getting to the foul line as well. He gets aggressive. He attacks the basket, and he gets those opportunities to get on the foul line. He's not a bad free throw shooter as well. And as you can see, he can rebound, and he does all those other little dirty things that we really like, especially me as a fantasy point play, as a DFS player. I want those fantasy points, and I love players, especially point guards, that are willing to do other things other than just shoot the basket and score. And he's able to do that. He got some steals, blocks. He has the occasional block. He can do a lot of things for you. I like the matchup. They're going up against Chicago. Chicago has allowed the 3rd most points per game to opposition thus far this year at 119.9. Pretty much that's 120 points per game. And they're allowing 35.2 fantasy points per game to point guards thus far this year. Curry, they gave up 51 to Curry, 45 to Kemba Walker, at 40 on the 2nd game against Kemba Walker, so they faced him twice. And Ben Simmons put up a 51 spot on them as well. He has all the potential, man. There's no doubt he's capable of getting you 40 or better. He's capable of getting you 50 any given night when everything is going right. Jamal Murray, I think this is a great matchup for him. I think he has the possibilities here to get us value and then some. After Jamal Murray, I definitely, it's tough for me down here because I really also, I'm gonna have a lot of exposure to Murray, but I also, as a core, Me personally, I'm also going to have a lot of exposure to Dennis Smith Jr. I think he's in a great spot as well. 6,500. If you don't want Murray, definitely Dennis Smith Jr. should be a fine play for everyone today. He's coming in here 6,500. You pretty much need 33 from him. And on DK, he's 5,900. So you only need 29 over there to meet value. And he's capable of doing. He's averaging 29 already. He's averaging 17.3 points, 2.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists a game. The last two games, 33-plus minutes in the last two games, and he's put up 22 or better in both games as far as from the floor. He's shooting the ball very well right now. He doesn't do a whole lot of other things. He's not going to rebound. He's more of a scorer and everything, but he is capable. And the good thing about also is that he's pretty steady. He's also, I can definitely recommend him as a cash play. 31, 35, 37, 30, and 30. He's had 30-plus in 5 out of his 7 games. In one game, he had one dud, and one game he didn't play. So he's been pretty consistent and solid, so far this year. So, I mean, again, a nice game here, especially a paced-up game. I can see the opportunity for him to get close to 40, maybe even surpass 40. He definitely can get you 40. He's going up against the Lakers. The Lakers are right now at the moment allowing 117 points per game. And we look here, they also the 26 defense against point guards this year. They're defending, and they're the 26th ranked team. So they definitely have given up tons of points to point guards this year. They have given up 30.5 fantasy points per game. They gave up 38 to Murray, 51 to Chris Paul, 44 to Damian Lillard. And over the course of those three, those are the top tier point guards that have faced. Dennis Smith I wouldn't consider them in that category of those guys, but he's very much capable of getting you 40, and he's been consistent enough to get 30 to 32, 33 on the average thus far this year. And then as you can see, the usage is there. He's going to get opportunities. He's a very, very important piece of the pie for Dallas as far as their offense is concerned. 25 here, 27, 26. Over the last 3 games, pretty much 25 to 27% usage rate. And look at the shots. 18 from the floor, 6 from 3, 19 from the floor, 4 from 3, 12 and 3. He's taking 20 to 24 shots per game on the average between both from the floor and from three-point range. And on top of that, he is capable of passing the ball a little bit, and he's capable of defending. As you can see, he had one game here. The last game, he had 2 steals. The game before that, he put 2 blocks. If you can do those extra little things, it's going to just generate more fantasy points, and that's exactly what we look for in a player, especially if we're looking for someone in the GP. So he has upside to get us that good GPP, especially in a good matchup. This is going to be a good matchup for him going up against LA, who's given up tons and tons of points. LA, like I said, 30.5 fantasy points per game and 122 points per game. 117 by Dallas. I wanted to point that out because they're both paced up teams this year and giving up tons of points to the opposition. So it should be a very, very competitive, high-scoring game. As far as I'm going to try to throw in here for the first time, I'm throwing in there, I'm going to try to do this all the time. If I feel that there's a good value play, somebody really down in the budget, under 4,000, that I think really stands out for me for the day, I'm going to mention them. And as far as the point guards today, I definitely like if I can find them. Okay, Eli Kobo. I think Eli Kobo at 3,500, especially if Cannon doesn't play. If Cannon doesn't play, he's probably going to get some time, and he's been getting some time as well since Devin Booker's been out. So I think at 3,500, he could be a very little sneaky play. You only need 15 from him, and he got some minutes the last time out. He put 18 minutes, he put 14, and 30 minutes, he put up 31. So he could be a very sneaky play, so be on the lookout for him. I like him as a sneaky, low price, 3,500 with possible upside play for today at point guard. Let's go over the shooting guard. At shooting guard, as a matter of fact, I am sorry, I also forgot to point out, I did mention Dennis Smith and Dennis Murray, Jamal Murray. I apologize, guys. I do like Derrick Rose today as the value play. That low budget play, Okubu is definitely bottom under 4K. But as far as my value play, definitely before I got on about an hour ago, I heard that Jimmy Butler is not playing, and of course Jeff Teague is hurt. So Minnesota is going to need Derrick Rose today. So I definitely like Derrick Rose today in this matchup. 5,500, he's playing very, very well. He's going to have an opportunity to really put up some massive minutes here today. He's going to have to take control of the offense in this matchup here. He's 5,500 here on FanDuel, and he is 4,900 on DK. So you need 27 here and about 24, 23, 24 on DK. He's more than capable of doing it. In his last 3 games, he has had 25 or better, and he's playing 26 to 29 minutes per game. That's going to probably elevate to over 30 minutes today. He's been feeling great. He's as healthy as he's ever been. And we all know he is capable. He was once an MVP of this league. He's he's not as explosive as he used to be, but nonetheless, he is still very much capable of getting us a 30, 31 from the floor and possibly getting us 40 or better as far as fantasy points. So I really like the opportunity here for him. Utah is 9th in defending point guards this season, so they've been pretty stagnant there. They usually are pretty good. But they have only allowed 106.2 points per game, which is obviously one of the better defending teams as well. But against point guards, they've given up a lot of fantasy points, 36.8 fantasy points per game. So it just falls imperfectly for Derrick Rose to have an opportunity with a player that's going to play more minutes due to a couple of guys being out, and at the same time is capable of skill-wise as far as that he can score. So, I mean, they gave up 35 to Dennis Smith, 41 to Hart, 45 to Michael Conley, 49 to Steph Curry, and 42 to De'Aaron Fox. So they faced a lot of pretty good, decent point guards thus far this year, and now they got to deal with Mr. Rose today. So I like Mr. Rose as a possible nice value play here. He's my value play. Like I told you, I already gave you pretty much 4 point guards. So that's where I'm at with those guys there. Let's go over to shooting guard before we start getting a little lengthy here, because that's my problem. I can always be here talking forever about things. At shooting guard, I mean, I'm not gonna sway away from DeMar DeRozan. DD is definitely in play for me. You know, he's my favorite play again today. It's no different. I'm going to not sway away from him, just like I haven't done with Kawhi Leonard thus far. These guys, you really cannot go wrong. Do you expect them to get 60 again? Probably not. This game could get a little out of hand and get a little ugly, but I do think that he's capable of getting us the 50 pretty much that you need here. You need 47, 48 at 9,700. I still think that's a fair, good price for a guy who's capable of getting you 50 or better any given night, and he's put up 60 in 3 out of his last 4 games. But 28 points per game from the floor, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 49.7, pretty much 50 fantasy points per game. At 9,700, you need 48. And on DK, he's 9,500. You need about 45, 46. So he is just right there. You know, he's getting the minutes. Let's go over to the cruncher. And DeRozan, he's going up against Phoenix. The Phoenix right now at the moment is ranked 8th in defending shooting guards, as you can see here on the cruncher. But look at these numbers: 63, 49, 61, and 61. Look at the minutes, massive, over 36 minutes on average per game over the last 4 games. And of course, the usage rate is going to be sky high because he is really the major part of the offense here for San Antonio, other than Aldridge. 26, 30, 27, and 30 over the last 4 games. And look at that. Look at the massive amount of shots. He's not a three-point shooter, but once in a while he'll get a little crazy and throw some up like he did here. But last few games, 21 from the floor, 23, 18, and then he's able to get to the foul line. He's a very good free throw shooter, and he's able to do some other things sometimes like this. He had 12 rebounds here, nearly had a triple-double, did have a double-double. He's had a double-double once, twice. It looks like he's had it 2 times thus far this year, and he's averaging in the last 2 games over 30 points per game. I mean, that is pretty massive. Phoenix here. Also, another thing to point out, he's been pretty good as far as his home and away splits. On the road, he's shooting 43%, and he's even shooting better. Obviously, he's shooting better at home, but an average of 30 fantasy points per game on the road is not too bad for a road game. I can expect him to do a lot better here in this matchup. Don't recall exactly whom he played in those road games, but nonetheless, that stat is pretty still good when you can get 30 fantasy points on the road. So I definitely like him here. Phoenix, 117.8 points per game given up to the opposition. They're actually also giving up 50% shooting to their opponents, which is the worst in the NBA. I saw that right away. I felt like I needed to say that to you guys. And DeRozan is shooting nearly 50% from the floor the entire season. He's shooting 49.4% from the floor, from field goal range. As a matter of fact, that 50% for Phoenix is actually the second worst in the NBA. Apologize about that. But I love him here. I will not be at all surprised he gets 50 or better here. So I kind of favor him. I like him here as the shooting guard. When we come over to another possible value play as shooting guard, I'm going to come down. He's dropped down in price, but I got a feeling he's due for a bounce back game. I mean, Josh Hart, man, 4,500 for LA is a little low for him. I know he's been stumbling a little bit as of late, but he's still getting good enough minutes. He got 24 in the last game, only put up 16. And the prior game, he had 36 minutes. If he starts shooting a little bit better, they'll keep him on the floor. I think he has a lot of potential. Obviously, we know he has upside. He's been able to get up to the 40s, close to 40. We have seen him go over 40 last year a few times. He is capable of getting it done. At 4,500, he's just a little cheap right now for me today in a matchup that is going to be a high-paced, high-scoring game. I could see him getting the amount of minutes necessary to get more than 1 fantasy point per minute, but at least to smash this. He's averaging 26 fantasy points, putting up 13 points, 4.5 rebounds, pretty much 5 rebounds a game, 1.3 assists. At 4.5, you need about 22, 23. And on DK, he's a little more expensive, about $600 more. I love his price on Fanduel over DK, so if you play on Fanduel, I would recommend him there. 25 you need pretty much on DKs, pretty much more or less. He needs to get 25 or better, and he's averaging 26, so he stumbled a little bit the last few games. We come over here and we'll look at Mr. Hart. Where are you, Josh? Josh Hart right here, going up. Mr. Hart is going up against Dallas, who is right now ranked 18th in defending shooting guards this year. 18th. They also have allowed 117 points per game to the opposition and 40.7, which is the second most fantasy points per game given up to shooting guards. They gave up 61 to DeRozan, 54 to Bazemore, 44 to Levine, and 47 to Booker. And Josh Hart has more than enough skill set to get himself 30 to 35 in this game. I think he could definitely get you 30 or better. And at that price, you only need 22, 23, like I said on FanDuel. So he is priced just right for a nice bounce back game here. And I can see that happening here. I like Josh Hart here as the value play for me. There are obviously some other guys that I have in my player pool that I like, but he stands out to me at that price. As far as a player under 4K, I am going to say he's in a good matchup as well, and he's been getting action. He's been getting time on the floor. If I can find him again, is Marco Bellinelli. Bellinelli for San Antonio in a game that more than likely could get out of hand, could get ugly, and he may see some time. He has actually been pretty much getting almost close to a fantasy point per minute on the average. He got 20 minutes here, 24, 23 here, pretty much 22. Got 23 minutes in the last game, got 24 fantasy points. At 3,800, you really need only 17 or 18. So, I mean, it's definitely doable for Marco. 10.7 points per game, 1.8 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 17 fantasy points per game. And he's priced about right for the 3,008, but he has the upside to get you 24, maybe even 25. We've seen Marco get hot from 3 and put down 28 to 30 in some games. So he has a little bit of a sneaky upside. I really like him here in this matchup. I could see the game getting a little out of hand and him getting a few extra minutes of garbage time on the floor and actually producing. So he'll be my little sneaky shooting guard play of the day there. As small forward, let's go over to the small forwards. Obviously, James is in play, just in a few spots. Definitely a high-paced game here, high implied totals. I could expect him to put up some massive numbers here as well. 12,400. He's not on my core, but he is someone that I'll probably have him thrown in one lineup or two tonight. Kevin Durant, the same. I'm going to come down and really discuss Rudy Gay. I know it's going to be a game that more than likely could be out of control, but I could see Rudy Gay still just paying up on value here. Just getting the value here. 7,000. You need 35, and on DK 6,100, you only need 30. Pretty much to cover there. So love his number and his potential to get 30 or better on DK. He's averaging 32.5, 14.7 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists. The last two games just smashing it, 45 and 44 respectively as far as fantasy points. He's playing massive minutes, 32 and 40 respectively in the last two games. He has put up 15 or better in 2 straight games. And the beauty of it is he's had 3 straight double-doubles. His usage rate, let's come over here. And let's go to my friend here. Where are you, my friend? Rudy Gay. All right. He's had 3 straight double-doubles. His usage rate is at 21% pretty much or better over the last 3 games. Look at the shots, 13 from the floor, 2 from 3, 15 and 1, 10 and 1. He's averaging 10 to as many as 15 shots per game from the floor and about a couple of threes per game. But the rebounds are there. 3 straight games, man, getting 10 rebounds or better. Assists are there. The last game he was just terrible with the turnovers. He made up for it with the steals. 6 steals. That's 18 fantasy points right there. That's 3 points per steal. That's really a big, huge number there. But this number would have been a lot better if he didn't have those 7 turnovers. So he's definitely got to clean that up going into this game. But I like the matchup again. You know, the matchup is just there. Going up against the 8th best defending team, right, in small forwards as far as Phoenix is concerned. They're allowing 117.8 points per game to the opposition thus far, and they have given up 32.2 fantasy points per game to small forwards so far this year. They gave 48 to Paul George and 51 to LeBron James. Obviously, those are some huge players in this league, in this position. But Rudy Gay, as well as he's been playing and how he has definitely evolved with this team over the course of last year into this year. Last year, if you guys watch my videos, I was saying I don't know why they don't play Rudy Gay a little bit more minutes. And they're definitely doing that now. And him, DeRozan, Aldridge, this team is really starting to come along. You know, so I definitely like him here. I think he is a great play at 7,000 here. Again, I do have some exposure. I don't want people to think that the guy I'm giving you is the right guy. I'm telling you what I think is a possible good play. I cannot always go with the top guys like Durant, James, and Meritek. You know, these guys aren't in play. Meritek is in play. Obviously, if AD is out, he is definitely someone you got to consider at 7,700 because you know he's going to get a lot of touches. Durant is definitely in play against New Orleans in a great paced up game. You know, these guys are going to definitely put up a lot of points. And then James in the same position with Dallas. So it's just a matter of preference on how you want to balance yourself up. But these guys are in my player pool as guys that I would definitely have some exposure to. I just feel for my viewers, I think the good play here is Rudy Gay. We come down, and that's going to give you some room to obviously, pay up somewhere else in one of the other positions. Another guy that I'm looking at in the actual same matchup is T.J. Warren. I mean, no Devin Booker. They got a couple guys. Cannon might be out. They got a couple guys hurt. This guy is not a bad defender. He has capabilities of, lighting it up any given night. He gets cooking at the 3-point range. He could definitely put up a lot of points for you right away. But 15.2 points, 3.7 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 24 fantasy points per game. He's at 5,100. You pretty much only need 25 from him. Very doable. And on DK, he's 5,300. Pretty much the same. 25-26 will get it done. 25-26 will get it done. It's around his average, which is not too bad. He's not priced up too high. He played 21 minutes in the last game, got 18 floor points, nearly 1 point per minute on the floor, 8 rebounds. Put up 30 spot. He did have a 45 spot earlier in the year, so we know he has some upside. Well, granted, he may have these dud games here, 11 or 12, so you figure that's his bottom line there. We're hoping for that not to be the case tonight, but I think because of the injuries and where they're at, and especially if Cannon is out, I could see him getting a jump in 25, maybe even as much as 28 minutes today. And if he can get some shots down, especially from 3 and get cooking, he could definitely get us 30 to 35. He could definitely meet this price for us. So he's, again, he's very much capable of getting it done. We come over to the cruncher, and let's look at Warren for a moment. Like I said, Sacramento is 12th in defending small forwards this year, but the usage rate was high in the last game. We're going to know that, obviously, with all the shots he took. He took 17 in the last game. Definitely a little choppy in the games that he did not perform well. As you can see, he only took 4 shots from the floor and 2 from 3, and then here a total of 10 altogether, 8 from the floor and 2 from 3. But when he does get some minutes and he goes and he gets aggressive and he's burying some shots like he did here, pretty much over 50% from both the 3-point line and from 2-point range, he's going to be able to give us that upside of those floor points as well as all those fantasy points. I definitely think that he is someone to watch out for today. I like the matchup. He's going up against San Antonio. San Antonio at the moment, they're not the same San Antonio team from the past. Thus far this year, they're giving up 116.8 points per game. They like the pace-up game right now. 34.8 fantasy points per game given up to small forwards. That is like the top 5 in the NBA as far as how many points given up to small forwards. They gave up 32 to Mr. Wiggins, 56 to James, and 29 to Harrison Barnes. Now, again, I really like T.J. Warren more so. make sure you come back and check out the comment section down below before lock. And I may change my mind on TJ Warren, but I do like him right now. And this is more so if there's definitely no Booker and no Cannon. If those two guys are definitely out, I definitely love TJ Warren. Really good there. As far as under 4K, one of the guys that I think you should watch out for, 3,800, Mr. Mario Hezonja of the Knicks. He's been getting less minutes now, but I think he's someone you can watch out for. At 3,800, he can definitely pay off that value. We know at 18, he only needs 18, 17, 18, and he's capable of getting you 30. He's capable of getting you in the high 30s. If he could get some floor time and actually bury some shots and get involved in the offense, he can definitely take care of business for you guys and get that 18. So I think he's one to watch out for in that small forward spot. Power forward. At power forward, I'm not going to pass up on Blake Griffin. I mean, Blake Griffin has been fantastic this year. At 8,800, his price is still pretty darn good. You only need 43 there to cover that, and he's averaging 47, so he's actually priced under on FanDuel. On DK, he's priced pretty much about right. DK, he's 9,400. You need 46, 47 there to meet value. And that's more about where he's at. I think on both sides he is definitely playable. I definitely love him more on FanDuel. 30, you can see 30, 36, 34. The minutes are there. Look at the points from the floor. He has had 3 straight 40-plus games. Well, 3 out of his last 4 games have been 40-plus more. 44 here, 42, and 77. I mean, he's been solid. You look at it, he's had 5 out of his 6 games. He has put up pretty much 42 or better. So very, very solid. His dull game was right here. His bummer here for 16 against Boston, but then he came right back on the home and home and took care of business in the last game, put up 44.5. He has 70-point upside, as you can see here, pretty much more like 55, 60. He's pretty much good for it. He's had 4 double-doubles. He's had a 150-point game, and he's had that 170-point game. So, I mean, he has been really, really good so far this year. Let's go over to the crunch. And let's take a look at his usage rate and so on and so forth. He's going up against Brooklyn. Brooklyn right now is 21st in the NBA in defending power forwards. And they already have played each other one time, and he already lit them up. As you can see right here, he put up 43 against Brooklyn the first time around this year in a 103-100 game. So that was a fairly good contested game. But, again, usage rate, 25% or better pretty much. Every time he's on the floor, 25 here, 26, 30, 34, 29, 27. Look at the shots, 17 from the floor, 4 from 3. He takes 3-pointers. He's not going to get hot from there. He's not a consistently good 3-point shooter, but he has those moments, 4 or 5 here, 5 or 10 here, 35 shots in this game he took from the floor and 10 from 3. I mean, he's going to get tons of usage. This is the weakest area for New York. Now, for Brooklyn. Brooklyn, definitely, Hollis Jefferson is not a bad defender. He did not play the first time around, so that may be the missing link here for Brooklyn as far as defending. Maybe Blake Griffin a little bit better, but he doesn't have the size and the physical strength to really deal with Blake Griffin. I can see them really controlling the paint area. Griffin with Drummond should do very well here, while Brooklyn's guys will probably be more so like Caris LeVert or probably even Dinwiddie off the bench. As far as the guards, they may be a little bit more better than Detroit, at least in this matchup when they play one another. So, I love Blake Griffin. Everything points to him in having a good game. He's going up against Brooklyn, like I said, 21st in defending power forwards this year, allowing 111 points per game, which is not too bad for Brooklyn. But giving up 35 fantasy points per game to power forwards. They did give up 46 to Draymond Green, 65 to AD, and 43 to Mr. Blake earlier in the year on opening night. So, again, he is capable of putting 45, 50. I think the matchup is just right for him. I think he is in a spot to possibly even go 50 or better tonight. Value. My value play, man, I'm going down to one of my Knickerbockers, Noah Vonleh, something like that. Noah Vonleh is definitely someone that I'm considering. 7.6 points, 8.3 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 23.6 fantasy points per game, 5,300. You need 26 from him. Pretty big number. He's more like $5,000, but he is perfect for DK. 4,300. You need about 21, 22 there. He can definitely get that. As you can see here in the last 2 games, 27 and 28 fantasy points, playing 22-plus minutes in the last 2 games as well. Solid defensively, as you can see, he's been involved in these games and he has done something. Either a block and a steal per game. He's pretty much done that in 2 straight. And he's capable. He had a double-double here. He came close to another double-double there. He's had, well, actually, he's 1, 2. He's had 3 double-doubles, and he's had 1 fantasy point per minute pretty much in every one of these contests. 28 minutes here, 28, 22, 27, 17, and 19. 18 minutes here, got 23, 21, 26. You get the picture. And me, I always favor those guys with 1 fantasy point per minute upside, and at the same time, it looks like he is capable of getting you 30. He hasn't passed that threshold yet, but he's in a, good spot here today against Indiana. Indiana's front court has been a little bit, up and down this year. They don't know which way to go. It looks like Thaddeus Young is starting to take the minutes again. And then there's those times where it's Sabonis. So tough to say, but I think this kid, being young and being very athletic, he has a very good shot here to at least meet value and maybe even exceed value. If he can get us if he can get us 30 to 35 fantasy points today at 5,300, I would love it. I think he definitely can do that. His home and away splits have been good. At home, he's 67% field goal percentage. He's had 9 rebounds per game, 3 assists, and 1 steal, and he's averaging 27.5 fantasy points at home. So that's higher than his actual average. So that means he's definitely doing a lot better at home than he's doing on the road. Indiana, obviously, is one of the best defenses in the NBA as a team. They have only allowed 102 points per game to the opposition this year, but they're 27th. 27th, as you can see here, in defending power forwards thus far this year. They've been having their troubles there. All right. 29, almost 30 fantasy points per game to power forwards. They gave up 24 to Aminu, 32 to Taj Gibson. Aldridge had 35. Giannis had 54. Now, Giannis is totally different. We know that number is going to be higher. We're not labeling this kid as any, that he's capable of doing anything like Giannis, but he is good enough to get you that 25, 30. And what he brings is the rebounding skills and, of course, the defense. If he can get blocks and steals, a couple of those tonight, and be able to bury about maybe 5 or 6 shots from the floor, maybe take 10 shots, he will definitely be able to smash that value there. So I definitely like him. As far as really, really cheap at power forward, I think Kleber for San Antonio is not a bad play. And I also like, Maxi Kleber. And I think Mr. Diallo might be someone to keep your eye on, man. Remember, if there's no AD, and we already know there's no Alfred Payton, they're going to need some help up front. He's going to get some minutes. Now, granted, I don't know how many minutes he'll get. He's been averaging about 10 to 15 minutes. Take a quick look here. I think that's what I saw. Yeah, 10 to 13 minutes. And he's been productive. 10 minutes, 15 fantasy points, 13, 21. So he could be one of those guys there, that you throw in there at 3,600, open up some value in other areas, and if he comes through and he gets you 15 or 20, great. If he doesn't, he's that's the one line that gets removed, and that is it. That's the bottom line. That'll be your lowest score, and you could throw that to the trash, and it's not a big deal. So I think him as well as Kleber here, or Kleber, Maxi Kleber. I think he might be another guy that you can choose. 13, 16 minutes. He got potential to get 30 minutes from the floor and put up 37. I mean, and you're looking at 38. You only need 17, 18 to meet value. I mean, he's capable because of the upside and possibly because of the factors that he may get the minutes. He could be someone for Dallas. For Dallas. I said San Antonio before, sorry. For Dallas, they may come through. I was thinking of Bertans. But anyway, so that's where I'm at as far as power forward. Center. I'm not gonna sway away from my boy Jokic. All right, Jokic is in play for me. He's probably gonna be my top center for today, even though he's at 10,002 and he hasn't put up those big numbers. He hasn't put up those big numbers yet, but I think he is due for a big game, and this may be the one. I mean, there's definitely an opportunity for him there. There's nobody that can really, really defend him at all for Chicago. So Jokic is in play for me, man. 10,200. He's averaging about almost 49 fantasy points per game, which soon I expect him to get cooking, and he's going to be more in that 55, to 60 range on average. Because he is capable of getting you 60 or better any given night. 21.5 points per game, 10 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 48.5 fantasy points, pretty much 48 or 49. 10,200, you need about 51, and on DK he's 9,700, so you need about 47, and that's not a bad price on DK with the upside that this man has. As you can see, his numbers last 2 games, 41 and 43. He has had 4 40-point games, 1 nearly 80-point game, and his 1 dreadful game, which for anybody else it would be a fantastic game, was 37.4 fantasy points. Granted, we don't want to pay $10,200 for Jokic and have him pay only give us back 37 fantasy points tonight. But if that's going to be his floor for a matchup like this, I mean, it's not too bad. But again, Jokic, I mean, 5 double-doubles, 1 triple-double. Hasn't had that monster game as of yet. I think he's due. We'll go over to the cruncher, and you're going to see, I mean, the guy is pretty much involved. I mean, Chicago coming in 19th in defending centers, so it's definitely an opportunity there. We know he has 70-point upside. And as you can see in the last few games, last game only 8 shots from the floor and 4 from 3, but 17, 11, 14. He definitely takes threes every single game out. Sometimes he's pretty hot and sometimes he's not. But the other thing that he brings is that he's capable of passing the ball and getting rebounds, and he also defends. He has the occasional game where he gets 1 or 2 blocks. He had 2 blocks in the last game, 1 prior to that, and he gets those steals. So he's very, very active with his hands and is willing to play defense. So, yeah, I definitely love Jokic here, man. I'm not going to pass him up any given time when he has a favorable opportunity and a favorable matchup going up against Chicago. Chicago's giving up 119.9 points per game, pretty much 120 a game. 27.6 fantasy points per game to centers, which is not at all bad. That is pretty good. The only thing is they only have faced Mr. Jordan. DeAndre Jordan put up 37 and Joel Embiid put up 61. Those are the only 2 major centers, top tier centers that have faced that gave them, that put up those kind of fantasy points on them. So Jokic is right there, man. Prime position to do very, very well in this game. And Chicago usually hangs around a little bit, so I could expect them to be in this game for a little while. But without Bobby Portis, it definitely hurts them quite a bit. So again, Mr. Jokic in play for me. When we come down for value, man, I don't, for me, I'm gonna have exposure to Julius Randle, and that's more so if Anthony Davis is out, because this guy's in a favorable matchup here today, and he should get 26 or more better minutes, and he's capable of lighting it up for 40 or better any given time. Because he's that good, especially in the paint, and he's very aggressive. And 26, as you can see, 17.7 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 32 fantasy points, 6,600. You pretty much need 33 from him. That's pretty much about his average. And on DK, he's 6,500, pretty much the same thing. You need about 32, 33. So he's primed. He's priced just about right, and he has the upside. He can get you 40. He can get you 40, 45. And he's in a matchup where they're going to need him, If there's no AD, I definitely love him the most there. He's going up against Golden State. Golden State 29th. Let's go to the cruncher for a moment. And let's go to Mr. Randle. 29th in defending. That's pretty much second to last in the NBA right now, defending against centers. This is a very athletic center. I mean, when he plays center, he's a power forward, pretty much a small forward, power forward who plays center on this team. But he can get it done. We're talking about 29th in defending centers this year, allowing 110.8 points per game, 33.3 fantasy points per game given up to centers thus far this year. They gave it to Wendell Carter, 32, Mr. Eden of Phoenix, 45, Jokic put up 43, Gobert put up 40, and Steven Adams put up 40. So he is right there in prime position. He can get you 35, 40 as well. He is athletic enough, he's energetic enough, and he is a scrappy guy. Julius Randle is very, very scrappy. And if you look here at his numbers, 26, 23, look at the usage rate when he's on the floor and he's touching the ball. He gets it quite a bit, especially in the post, 37. And this will be perfect for him. It is a paced-up game, but he loves to bang and be under the boards. And when they want to make sure that they're going to go to a half-court set, he is going to be perfect for that in this matchup going up against LA. Going up against Golden State, that their center, I mean, they don't really have a true bona fide center. 13, 8, 11, look at that, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, does turn over the ball a little bit and does have that, capability of getting into foul trouble. We hope that he does not do that if there's no AD tonight. Like I said, I'm going to have some exposure to him. I think he's in a favorable matchup. I think he has the opportunity to put up 35 to 40, but he has to be clean, and he's going to have to get a lot of touches and be able to make shots. If he's able to do that, he's going to be just fine. Julius Randle. So I like Julius Randle. He's at 6,006. As far as someone like maybe under 4, Ed Davis might be someone that stands out for me for Brooklyn. May get some time there. And Mason Plumlee, 3,600 is pretty cheap. He does get some time on the floor. If this game against Denver gets a little crazy and they get a little ahead by 15, 20 points, he may get more than 18 minutes. And we know that in 20 minutes or better, this guy proved it last year, he can put up a lot of points very quickly. So Mason Plumlee could be a nice, budget play here, sleeper play at 3,600 that might just be able to get you over the top. Not only that, if it doesn't pan out, hey, his score will go right down the drain and you don't have to worry about it. Same thing with Ed Davis for Brooklyn. We'll get somewhere about 10 to 15 minutes. He's gotten 12 in the last game, 17 prior. When he got 20, he put up 21. So at 3,800, I mean, it's not bad. 17, 18, pretty much you need. And he is capable of doing that. He has put up pretty much close to 1 fantasy point per minute on the average as well. 19, 23, 14, 18. Yeah, he did that for the first 5 games. And then he had one game where he was just a little bit low, and then he got right back on track. So Ed Davis, who used to be with the Portland Trailblazers, is capable of getting you 25, could get you high 20s if he gets sufficient minutes. So I think that's a pretty good price for him as far as price being low. And he is actually pretty cheap also on DK. So again, that's pretty much what's that. Remember, guys, at the end of the day, about 6:30 or so prior to the game start at 7:30 today, looking at the schedule right here, 7:30. So you figure already by 7 o'clock, take a look. Come back to the video, check the comment section and see if I made a comment about what players I do definitely feel there should be core plays, and then the ones that I believe that are possible good value plays or sleepers. I try to throw some guys in there. By the time the day's over, I look over everything again. I listen to the news, any injury reports, and so on and so forth, and see where value has opened up. So, and then I share that with my viewers, so this way you have something that you could look at. Now, remember, I've had some people say, oh, I've lost some money. Hey, it's going to happen. This is DFS. There's people that do win money and there's people that don't. Last night wasn't the best night for me. I did recoup a little bit. I did lose. The night before that, I did win a little bit. It's going to happen. My advice to anybody is be very, very diligent on how you use your bankroll. Do not go out and spend, your whole entire bankroll. If you have $100, don't go and utilize your whole 100 on basketball slates, especially on GPPs. Break it down. Use 20% of it. And then maybe use maybe 30% of your entire bankroll and put 10% of that to GPPs and make 2 or 3 lineups, and that is it. And then try to go and do your cash games. I'm a GPP player, so I play mostly just GPP, but my lines are only 5, 6, sometimes maybe as much as 8 lines per night. And maybe only 4 or 5 on the main, and then I break down some lines on the after hours or some of the other slates like the Express. I mix it up, so you gotta, definitely do the same thing. Don't throw all your eggs in one basket and put yourself in that position to be totally banked, no bankroll. And that's the most important thing. So make sure that you do stuff like that. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing. Not what I say, not what I think. This is just my opinion. This is what I look at as far as statistics are concerned. I'm trying to give you the best possible opportunities and be able to tell you what else I think may be an opportunity for you guys. But it's entirely up to you to make that decision at the end. And if you decide to do it, and it doesn't matter whom you listen to, if it's me or anybody else on the internet or on YouTube, it's going to be the same thing. Those guys cannot guarantee you that either. So I'll be the first to say it. I'm pretty sure whoever's been here long enough, they've heard me say it during WNBA, NFL thus far. Nothing is guaranteed. Anything can happen any given day. An injury can happen on the court. A guy can just bust out for the day with just terrible shooting. It's going to happen. These athletes are going to have bad days. So we can't always count on them, but we always try to find the best possible matchup with the best upside and the best opportunity for us to gain fantasy points and hopefully get us in the winner circle as far as GPPs or cash games. So that's basically it, man, guys. Well, good luck tonight. Again, make sure you check back later on just in case I make any changes. Other than that, drop a like on the video. Make sure you share with others. At the same time, if you're new to the channel and have not subscribed, make sure you do subscribe down below. Put on your post notifications. This way you don't miss out on any of my NBA or NFL lineup advice videos. All right, guys? With that, I wish you guys a lot of luck. Happy Halloween, and I'll see you guys on the next video.